The Seoul semester kicked off in the most amazing way I could have imagined. After a year of fully remote university, I was finally with my classmates. To adjust to the new culture, we explored the city in different groups, and then we all came together and enjoyed a picnic, where we later had front row seats to the prettiest sunset ever above the Han River. That was a view I will never forget. One of the first special events we got together for was a barbecue at a local rooftop, which also featured some pretty spectacular views. Because Minerva is an American university, they have a friendsgiving event each year instead of Thanksgiving. And this year was actually my first friendsgiving, and it was amazing. There were performances and a lot of food, and overall just a really good time. A few students in my class started an art club called Apollo, and they held an exhibition for people to put their art in, which I actually featured some of my photography in, and one of the photos was of my exchange year. One of my friends also started a theater club, and at the end of the semester, they performed a musical called Heathers for the rest of our class. It was so great, and my friend that started the club performed amazing and sang amazing. It was such a great performance. From its overly crowded subways, to the lively streets, to the historical architecture and palaces, there is so much to see in Seoul, and I never got tired of it. Minerva and our partner university also created a buddy system for us to be paired with a Korean student, and this allowed even more exploration of the city. We were able to find some hidden gems from the locals, and yeah, it was just amazing. My buddy had actually lived in the US for part of her childhood, and so that created a bit more of a connection between us because I'm also from the US. And yeah, I just really appreciated this aspect about Seoul because we don't get this in all of the rotation cities. Even at night, there's always so much going on. Here you can see a group of girls dancing. There's just so many people in Seoul. People are always on the streets, moving around, getting somewhere, and it was actually really easy to get places because the public transportation was so good. The buses were always on time, much different than Germany. Oh my god, do I miss the food in Korea. You just had to be there and taste it. Like, there's really no way to describe how, oh my god, how amazing it is. But if you are a noodle lover like myself, this place is heaven, and there's a lot of different flavors and spices and everything. And while I was there, I celebrated Chuseok, which is a holiday in Korea, and we had this amazing setup right here. It was beautiful, and then my university also had this spice challenge, which I was a contestant in. I got third place. I think there was like 8 people, I'm not too sure. So we had increasing spicy levels of Korean noodles, and I made it until the spiciest level.
3, 2, 1. Aww.
Of course, my friends made the semester so amazing. We did Korean karaoke. I tried to get out as much as I can, and we had some photo booth sessions, really fun. And we had at school a little fashion swap. So I dressed like my friend Tash. and she dressed like me. We have very different styles, so it was funny. Here we did a little runway walk, trying to act like one another. In general, I made so many good memories with friends, whether it was out in the city or just hanging out in the res hall. We also had a few birthdays that we celebrated at midnight.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tuck. Happy birthday.
The neighborhood that we lived in was called Haebangchon, and it was so beautiful. We had a view of the Seoul Tower right next to Namsan Mountain. And the neighborhood was actually considered diverse for Korea, as 96% of the Korean population is ethnically Korean, but in this neighborhood it was about 90%, so 10% international. Part of the reason for this diversity is because after the Korean War, a lot of immigrants moved to this area due to its proximity to Seoul Station. Something that I found really interesting was that the roads are very narrow, and so we need these special buses that are smaller in order to get around in Haebangchon. Because these buses were so small in order to fit on the roads, they could be very full sometimes, and so it was not the most comfortable to be on those buses. A lot of the times you're literally right next to someone shoulder to shoulder, and so I didn't always enjoy going on the bus, but I definitely loved the views from the neighborhood. And right next to the neighborhood, once you leave, you can see there's a huge highway, there's a lot of cars, and so the roads definitely open up. I honestly, overall, could not imagine a better place to have lived. It was such a beautiful area, and I enjoyed it a lot. Some of my classmates and I had connected with a local running group called the Seoul Flyers, and this was definitely one of the highlights of my semester. We had some gorgeous views in Seoul while running, and I may have fallen a few times on my run, so there was definitely good and bad. But at the end of the semester, I got to watch one of my friends at a half marathon. I didn't get to participate, but I enjoyed watching her, and I ran about 10K on my own that day. Now, although this is all amazing, and I definitely would not trade my experience in Korea for the world, I still want to acknowledge the difficult parts of the semester, because of course when you're living somewhere, it's not always amazing. You still have difficult times. One reason why Korea was such an important experience for me is because it was my first time living in a place where I did not speak the language, where there was always difficulty when communicating every day. Whether it be at the grocery store when you need help shopping and all you can say is hello and thank you, or when you're at the bus stop trying to know where you need to go and you cannot read any of the signs. It's very challenging, but I also think that it is important to learn how to navigate in those situations because, of course, not everywhere in the world speaks the same language, and so if you travel, you're bound to end up in these situations. So a lot of the times I would think to myself that I missed the way it was in Germany where I was living abroad, but I also understood the language and I could communicate. It made things a lot easier. It was also my first time living with my classmates instead of taking classes remotely from home, and so I had to get used to living in a community of people and sharing my space and having roommates, and that was a very difficult thing. I couldn't really ever have time to myself to relax, and that is something that I have always needed and valued, so that was a big adjustment as well. But anyways, there was my semester in 10 minutes. Thank you for watching.